Good day, fellow Russians. I'm going to show you how we're going to go from this to this. And it's not just sanding it down and calling it done. It's making sure this is perfect. Before we begin, why did I make this video? I want to show you the steps I go through to do an overlay. I was in contact with one of the subscribers. Huge shout out to Trent, the pizza guy from Windsor, Ontario. Contacted me and we worked on a project together. And I thought, you know what, let's document it for anybody else that wants to try to do something like this. Again, rushfan@live.ca gets in touch with me if you want to work on something together, if we're local enough, and then we'll go from there. And on with the video. What are we going to do here? First thing we're going to do is we're going to take up all the Mylar. How are we going to do that? We are going to use a heat gun and a plastic razor blade. So one of these babies. Now, I'm going to warn you that when you use a heat gun to take the Mylar off, it does give off some off-gassing, so just be cautious of your surroundings. Once all the Mylar comes on, in this case, we have it here, sprinkled over here, all over the playfield. And make sure there's nothing on the playfield, no screws, nothing sticking through that's going to cause you any grief when you get to the sanding stage. And on the back, a couple of things are going to happen here. We're going to go over the back. We're going to make sure we take out any remaining staples. There's one here, any broken screw heads, anything like that. We're also going to clean the inserts because two things are going to happen. We're going to try to knock them flush. I'll show you how we're going to do that because they are sunken. Some of them are pretty sunken, like this one. I can feel it with my hand. So we need to bring it up, and we need to take out the star rollovers. These ones here, all the ones that protrude from the playfield, and there's quite a few of them with bobby horse. These all have to come out, and let's get to it. I'm going to be flip-flopping the playfield around quite a bit, so you're going to have to excuse me in advance. What you need are a couple of sockets. So this is a 5/8. This is a 12 millimeter. Yes, you can tell I'm Canadian because we're officially metric, but we still use imperial. These will be the ones to knock the rollovers with, and this one will be the ones to either lift up or knock out the inserts that are underneath that have sunken. Good set of side cutters. Going to work for the back when we start taking all the staples out. Again, that plastic razor blade. Some of the Mylar, like this one, yeah. This is probably going to lift right off, but some of it we might have to get a bit aggressive on. That's where the heat gun's going to come in as well. Again, plastic razor blades, and then we're going to need 2-part epoxy. Get whatever's on sale, even the stuff they sell at the dollar store works. That's for the jewels that we pop right out that we have to put back in. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little later. So for now, let's start with the Mylar, and you don't have to be gentle, but I don't want you tearing layers of ply out when you pull this stuff off. And remember, this is lead paint, so make sure you work in the proper conditions. But for the most part, I think this stuff will tear right off. You're going to have some residue behind. Don't worry about it. The sandpaper will get to that. So look where they put the Mylar here. Good place for it. That just comes right off. Again, if you have Mylar that refuses to come off, give it some persuasion with the heat gun. Have a receptacle handy. I've got all this blue sticky stuff from a previous project, so it's good to pick up some of the dust. This stuff is coming off extremely easily. It's not always this easy, but hey, you gotta get lucky once in a while. Come up here too. This is the best. There's wear spots from the ball, what do they call it? Ball travel? Or witness marks, I should say. So they put Mylar here as well. Now, here's the deal. When we go to sand the playfield, if you don't get the Mylar off, sandpaper will not take it off. Well, it might eventually, but you're going to go through a lot of product. And you're going to damage a lot of, might damage your machine. Okay. Pretty sure that's all of it. Okay, just a damp cloth. Stuff is coming off like absolutely nothing. A lot of fibers there. Remember, I'm not trying to clean all this dirt. Okay, perfect. Just gonna go wash my hands. Let's take out the star rollovers. Again, 5/8. You can use a mallet, use something soft. And the trick when you these ones you have to avoid heating up, because if you heat them up, what happens is all the ridges, I'll show you when we get one out, literally melt, and then they're no good anymore. So what you want to do as you tap, you want to go round. Okay, and the round will help disperse the impact and get you better results. So I'm just going to put something under there, and then we will start. It's weird. You can feel and hear. Alright, see, there's the ridges in there. Those will melt if you try heating them up. Again, these are coming out pretty easy. I can't say this is going to be your experience. Let's see what we've done so far. They've come out well. What I mean they've come out well is they haven't ripped any of the wood fibers around that holds them. Okay, so far so good. So I'll just hold on top to give you guys a, I guess you'll see it coming up. Of course, I can't get you on an angle. Let's see. anyway, what I'm doing again is I tap, I'm just going around. Okay, so around and out. Change the camera angle. Okay, here's what I'm doing. It's tap, 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 tap. Just go around, round, 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 and you'll push it out. Okay. Okay, your goal right now is to separate these stars from their holders. Here's a profile. That tip basically goes through this hole and mushrooms it. So what we're trying to do is move these barbs away to pop the white thing out. These are pretty fragile, so this one is pushed out a bit. You don't want to pry on them, you will break them. So what I've been doing is just putting in a piece of plastic, twist tie in this case, just nudging them through. If you want to put a fingernail back there, that's fine. But again, don't go too... Yep, see? Just busted. Okay. Shame on me. Oh well, she's ruined, so. But I think you get the gist of what you're trying to do. To take them apart. This is still good. This is not. Let's try another one. This one should be okay. It was pretty tight. Yeah, this step is technically not even required. What I'm going to do is sand this down and paint it just to make it look good. But what I want to do is just take out all the staples that were missed. Hopefully, I got this Playfield off somebody did a Playfield swap. Hopefully they didn't take the power braid and reuse that, because I've shown in enough of my videos that you can just use picture hanging wire. So, and I am pretty confident that I will forget some staples, or I just won't see them and I'll discover them when we go through the sanding process. But give it the college try, get what you can. Pick it up. Not a bad hole. Okay, now let's flip it over. Look for the inserts that are really sunken in. Yeah, these ones are pretty bad, especially this one. Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, these ones are. And these ones are pretty good. What's going to happen is when we sand this Playfield down, we're actually going to be taking some of the surface off these inserts to level it. But if they're really far grooved, it'd be nice to knock them up just so that we can do a better job at the end. All right, so let's knock up this number 5. I'm going to do the same technique. In this case, there won't be a tap, tap, tap around. It'll just be a tap, tap, tap out. And if I feel any resistance, I'm going to stop and use the heat gun. Okay, you can see this starting to come out. No problem. You don't want to hammer these things and break them. What ends up happening is if you hit them too hard, they end up breaking the wood, and they end up breaking, like a piece of them breaks off in the actual hole. And you just have to clean them out. It becomes a bit of a pain. But if you don't clean these out perfectly, when you go to put them back in, if you don't get them in the right spot, they're going to stick up and whatever. But to that end, I'll just pull out the big offenders. This was one of them. And I'll show you how we put them back in with the epoxy. This one's pretty bad. And you don't have to pull them out, by the way. Don't go too crazy. I know I'm going to end up pulling these all out. Off camera, this one was giving me stress, so I decided to bring out the heat gun. We'll do number 3. You heat the top till it's warm but not hot to the touch. Then you flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. But you have to clean it first. If you don't clean it, you run the risk of having the dirt melt into the plastic, and then you'll never get it out. And it will be cloudy forever, ever. Amen. So I just use some cleaner, put it in there. So get your heat gun. Okay. Spin you around. You can use a hair dryer. You can use whatever you're comfortable with. Just make sure you don't burn the plastic. You don't have to worry about the wood. That's good. Didn't take too long. So it's not moving, so it's still in there. And what we're trying to do is melt the glue. There we go. Okay, let's see how clean our brake was. Beautiful. No tear out, and it all came out in one piece. Okay. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna end up doing. Okay. All right, I'll start banging. All right, so far we're firing on all cylinders. Okay, I'll decide how many more I want to pop out. Yeah, you guessed it. It's like potato chips. You can't have just one. Okay, we're taking this outside. We're just going to sand the back of the playfield. We're not going to get too crazy. We're just going to knock down all these craters and things like that. Try to get rid of anything really offensive, and then we're going to paint it. I'm just using random orbital with just 120 grit. I'll set you up, put on a mask. Okay, now we're going to flip it around and just knock off the loose stuff. We're not going to take it right down to wood just yet. Again, just superficial. Don't go too crazy. All right, now give it a good blow. That's more Mylar. I think this is just glue, but I think this is Mylar. Yeah, wow. That's glue. That's glue. This will come off with the sanding. But I think, yeah, oh my goodness, look at this. Unbelievable. That's it for sure. All right, now it's time to put the inserts in. Okay, the reason we used the heat gun was to heat up and loosen the glue. Now it's the reverse. We're going to glue these back in. So what you need to do is make sure, see how it's all clean in there? Like the surface inside, there's no glue, there's no chunks of plastic, nothing. So what you're gonna need is a couple of hammers, whatever, a plastic block or something very, very smooth, some stir sticks, and some epoxy. I'm using JB Weld. You can use the stuff at the dollar store too. That stuff is just as good. I know some people have heard that they've used crazy glue or wood glue, but I like this stuff here. Again, it doesn't have to be JB Weld, but the two-part, you mix it nice and tight. Only make enough for the sections you're going to use, because this stuff does cure. So I'll make enough to do this section here. I'll make enough to do this section here. And wow, what do you know? I breed these things. Yeah, I have one right here. If you look at the detail on this. This is for a future video, future reveal. But obviously take pictures or whatever, so you don't mix up the inserts. And if you do, whatever, it's not the end of the world, right? So, okay, I'm gonna hang you up. Let me start gluing, and I'll show you my technique for making sure they're flush. So again, you can use plastic, something very smooth to push it down, or you can even use your fingers. And the fingers, you get that feel. If it's sticking up, that's what you want. You don't want it to recess into the playfield, because we need to sand it still. We need to give it the final sanding, which will get rid of all of the decals, not decals, sorry, all of the ink, and make it 100% flush. Okay, so we just did it superficially again, just to blow off all the all the loose stuff so that I could, safely bring it into the workshop and work on it. But again, if they're sitting a bit higher or proud, that's fine. But make sure they don't sink beneath the surface. Okay, I'll hang you up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go on the inside. If you get some on the top, not the end of the world. We're gonna sand it off. Okay. The glue kind of acts as a lubricant and helps it go in a little easier. Final touch. Perfect. Okay. Just going to fill the holes in. Okay. See what's going on. Again, it doesn't matter if you get numbers and letters in properly, because that's all going to get sanded away. Okay, I'm just going to check my hand. Perfect. So I'm not doing the star rollovers. Those come near the end, and I'll explain why as we get closer to that part of it. So let me do all these ones now. Let me zoom out here. I think I'm giving you guys a headache. Okay, I'm going to do all these. Same technique. We're just smearing. And when we're smearing on the lip, just inside here. And again, if we get on the top, not a big deal. Once this stuff hardens, it sands away pretty easily. I'm just using just a piece of cardboard and the edge of the Q-tip that we used to clean the inserts, but this is what we got going. So you can see a little bit of, glue spread out, no big deal. And that's what we got going on here. Okay, we're gonna let it dry. It's 24 hours. I let it dry for 24 hours, even though it says otherwise. Perfect. Okay, let's sand the front. What we're going to use is a 120 grit. It's a fine grit, and a random round orbital sander. I wouldn't use a belt sander. Here's the problem. If you look at the wood, it's got, I call them undulations. Okay, if you go with a belt sander, it's going to want to bring way too much material down, because you can't really, it doesn't conform to the grooves in the wood, whereas this one does. So put it on your pad and head off on a highway. What we're trying to do, again, you want to get the ink off this, and you want to make sure it's all flush. I think you're going to be surprised on how much effort I'm going to have to put into sanding it, because these Playfields are a bit tougher than people realize. So let me put you down. I want you to put a mask on and go to town. Okay, we're sanded. We are smooth. Like, we're very smooth. So, I'm gonna show you my new car. Anyway. All right, one thing you're gonna notice is when you sand them, all the inserts get all scratched up. Just from the sandpaper, which is normal. But again, this is smooth. Don't worry about the staining. That'll all get hidden. So we want to shine these up before we put our urethane over it, just to make sure it's all like nice and tight with the urethane. And what we're going to use is acetone and a cloth. The cloth must be smooth. Don't get a terry towel with a bunch of like ridges and stuff in it, because when you swipe over the insert, you'll see the actual ridges. So use something really smooth. And again, acetone. If you want to use wax and 1,000 grit sandpaper, water sand them, do whatever, that's fine. You can do that as well. But the acetone works wonders, and it literally takes seconds. So let me just set you up. And I think what we'll do, try to set you up here, and then you'll see the before and after on these two really well. Okay, here's the cloth. It's one of those blue shop towels. I'll set you up. Make sure I'm just gonna put acetone on it. And you're simply gonna go across and leave it. And we'll do the same with these ones. And all of them actually, just I think you'll see the green is probably the best one. Not bad, eh? And look at, the red should show up pretty good too. See how it's all whitish? And the last one. I'm only going it more than once just because it's starting to dry. And there we go. So what do you think? Let's hit the green again. Okay, we'll let it dry. Well, it's probably already dry. Acetone dries like craziness. Then I'm going to hit this with a cloth, and then we're just going to hit it with some of everything. Doesn't matter what you have. This is actually gloss mixed with satin, so we're just going to give it a not sloppy job, but a sloppy job. Let it dry, flip it around the other side, paint that, and call it done. Okay, I'll bring you back. Okay, it's dry. Whatever. But look at those. Came up pretty good. Okay, now it's just everything. Nothing really fancy going on here. Make sure, how do I set you guys up so you can see it? I'm just basically rolling paint on. It's nothing overly exciting. But again, always make sure you get your cloth out. Pick up all the dust. Don't wet your brush too much. gonna get a lot of bubbles, you're gonna get a lot of waves, but they'll pop. And if they don't, I'm just gonna go over it. Okay, we're gonna let it dry. And then we'll see how much orange peel we've got going on. Might do a quick wet sand on it, just to get it very, very major smooth. And once this dries, or when it's dry close enough, I'll flip it around. We'll do the gray on the back, and then we'll have to regroup and see what we do after that. Okay. Okay, let's paint the back side. How did I get this paint? I went to the paint store, literally said, give me the cheapest paint you got. I took a Playfield with me, they matched it, and life is good. So you don't have to be too, you don't have to be Picasso here. You don't have to be Bob Vila. Talk about a name blast in the past. Just put it down until it looks good to what you consider to be good. Let it dry. And I think you'll be very happy with the way it came out. What I like about cleaning the Playfields, or painting them I should say, is it's nice and clean. No dust, no dirt, and it just makes for a better job. Even CPR now, or other places that reproduce them, they're not coming painted, they're bare wood on the back. I don't know, I just, whatever, as long as it's going to take me to do this. And don't worry about paint getting in on the inserts, because there's not really splashing around that much, so you don't have to tape them off or be very cautious. Obviously you don't want a dripping brush. That's it. Voila. Good as new. All right. Let it dry. And then I think you are going to help me decide what we're going to do with this thing. So, but let it dry. I'll bring it back. I'll bring you guys back. Done. This is ready now for our next step, whether it be print directly on the wood or an overlay. All the jewels came out perfect, because at the end of the day, that's all you're really going to see, but it's nice and smooth. So the ball is going to travel like greased lightning, as I've said before. So anyway, I don't know, post in the comments, which way do you guys want to roll? Do we want to do an overlay, which might be a bit simpler, only for the time of year that I am over here. It's going to start to get cold, so I won't be able to do any spraying or clear coating of the Playfield if either way. So if I do an overlay, I might be able to get it clear coated a lot sooner, because the leaves are starting. So tell me in the comments, overlay, print to wood, or contact me, rushfan@live.ca. Wonderful time of year. No, I prefer summer. Anyway, Russians, I hope you got some value out of this one. Like, share, subscribe, do all that great stuff. And we will see you on the next one. Talk soon.